Hey, and welcome back to another episode. Have you ever had a clear vision for your life? Like you knew where you wanted to go, but felt stuck. Like you were spinning your wheels all alone. Today, we're talking about why your professional and personal vision is only part of the equation, and how the real magic happens when you tap into what Napoleon Hill called the mastermind principle. Over the last couple of these episodes that we've been talking about vision, we've been going over each and one of these principles and how if you tie these principles into your vision will be much better and more applicable to today. And in the last episode on vision, we talked about decisiveness and persistence when it comes to having a vision. And now we're going to be diving into the mastermind mentality. So let's get into it. This is Tim Staten with Tim Stating the Obvious. What is this podcast about? It's simple. You are entitled to great leadership everywhere you go, whether it's to church, whether it's to work, whether it's at your house, you are entitled to great leadership. And so in this podcast, we take leadership principles and theories and turn them into everyday, relatable, and usable advice.
And a quick disclaimer, this show, process, or service by trademark manufacturer, otherwise does not necessarily constitute an implied endorsement of anyone that I am employed by or favors them in representation. The views are expressed here in my show are my own expressed and do not necessarily state or reflect those of any employer.
All right, so let's kind of define what a personal and professional vision is first, just to get us all on the same playing field right now. Your personal vision is the big picture of your life that you want to live. It's about who you want to be and how you want to feel and the impact you want to have outside of work. Think your values, your lifestyle, relationships, your health, your legacy, all of those things. You should ask yourself, what kind of person do I want to become? What kind of life do I want to make up every day? And how do I want people to remember me when you're gone? And your professional vision is a clear direction for your career, the goals, achievements, and roles you want to pursue in your work life. It's where you see yourself going in the industry or field and how you plan to lead, grow, and succeed. You should be asking yourself, what kind of work do I want to be known for? What skills do I not want to master? What leadership roles do I want to grow into? And the reason why this matters for young professionals and future leaders is oftentimes we go through life and we're aimless. We feel that we are at the whims of whatever life throws at us. And you could take that approach. And I took that approach for a long time, but now I'm taking a different approach. I'm taking a visionary approach. Like this is the vision that I want to go, and I wanted to share it with you because it's been very impactful on my life, and I think that you should have that too, to have the same opportunities and experiences that I've had. And so let's be honest, most people don't take the time to define it because we're too busy about the day-to-day. We're too busy about the minutia and the things that don't matter. We're too busy worrying about the basketball game that happened last Thursday, or who's in March Madness, who's in the Final Four. Although those things are important and those things make you happy, if you're not at the pinnacle of where you want to be, they're minuscule because they don't get you where you need to go. They're not a part of your vision. Unless that is a part of your vision, then keep doing that. But if you're a spectator of those things, it doesn't matter who's on American Idol or The Voice or The Masked Singer or you name it, whatever TV show. Those things are there just to keep you and lull you and give you a sense of entertainment to distract you from the mundane. And so we oftentimes lack the intellectual capacity to really put in the rigorous work to think about who do we want to be? Where do we want to go? Instead of just dealing with whatever is thrown in our life. So I think once we get after these principles and we start to implement them and think about our vision, think about our future, you're going to see a much different outlook of what's going on around you and in your life. So think about it this way. Vision equals your clarity and direction. It's knowing why and where you want to go. So for an example, if someone wants to lead a marketing team in 5 years, but has no written vision, compare that to somebody who knows that they want to lead a marketing team in 5 years and kind of mapped out how to get there, how to achieve it. how they want to get it done. Without vision, you're just adrift in the sea. Think about a buoy in the water. And I like going down to the beach every now and then when it's warmer. It's too cold. Haven't been all winter. But when you go to the beach, there's like these buoys out there, and they just kind of float and get tossed around, and they're just out there. They go whatever direction that it goes. They don't have a purpose. They just go with whatever it is. When you have a vision, you move intentionally. Now you're not a buoy. You're a boat in the water. You're cutting through the waves. You're going to where you want to go. And that gives you your definiteness of purpose, which is incredibly important. I think a lot of people today lack definiteness of purpose. I was listening to a podcast the other day, and I was listening to Myron Golden, and he's got some really good inputs, and he was talking about how one thing that successful, like truly highly successful people do that other people don't do is when they get hyper focused on something, they're intentional. And like they ignore all distractions. Like they really, if they say that this is their vision and this is their goal, they hyper focus on that thing until it happens. No matter how many times they fail at it, they just hyper focus on it. They have a definiteness of purpose to get it done no matter what. And oftentimes I've asked myself, well, how come it is that more people aren't doing that? And I think it's because we lack a vision. We lack of where we're supposed to go and where we're supposed to be. And if you think somebody else is supposed to give it to you, it's not going to happen. No one's going to tell you, other than God, no one's going to tell you where you're going to go, what you're supposed to do. It's on you to figure it out. I don't think anyone's going to tell you that other than me. So your vision is necessary, but in itself, not sufficient, because you can't do it alone. We all need people to help us out. If you try to do everything on your own, you're going to get burnt out. You're going to remain stagnant, and you're going to get in isolation. And, that's not good when we try to carry out a vision alone. I'm not saying go ahead and tell everybody in the world your vision, but you need to let some people know, like, hey, this is what I want to do, and this is how I want to go about doing it. So what is the mastermind mentality? At its core, the mastermind mentality is the mindset and approach of intentionally surrounding yourself with people who challenge you, sharpen you, and help you grow, because you understand that success isn't a team sport. And I'm reminded of Proverbs 27:17, where it says, as iron sharpens iron, so a friend sharpens a friend. And I want to talk about that for a minute, because I don't think it's as pleasant as you think it may be. It sounds very superficial, right? So you take iron and you rub it up against another piece of iron at like at an angle, and it creates friction, and it creates heat and pressure. And eventually, you got to get another hammer and an iron, and you got to place it on another iron or steel surface, and you got to bang it and hit it into submission in order to make it sharp. And then you've got to grind it down, and you've got to grind down the edges to make it precise. And when I think about my friends, I don't think about that, but maybe we should, because when somebody sharpens something, you do it because it's out of utility, right? I need a blade that can cut something. I need something that's going to be precise. I need something that's going to be useful. And we should surround ourselves with friends who are going to help draw out in us the best and make us useful. And that process isn't necessarily pleasant, and it could also be a little bit painful, but I think it's important not to give up on those friendships, because it's not just about creating a network of people that are going to make us feel good about ourselves. It's about creating a powerful circle of like-minded individuals who are all committed to leveling up personally and professionally on the same level that is mutually beneficial, and who are willing to invest in each other's success. So if you have a circle and it doesn't look like that, I would offer up, you need to reevaluate your circle. Even in my professional life, I do not want to be the smartest person in the room. And if I ever think I am the smartest person in the room, that is a problem. I need to, 1, humble myself, and 2, go out and get better talent and get better people, right? So as I move up and get better and sharpen my mind and sharpen myself, then I also expect those on my team to do the same thing, because we're all about the same thing. Professionally, we are going to level up and get better together. And those who don't want to rise up will eventually fall off, unfortunately. And then we'll get new people who can rise to the occasion and hop in on that. And how this relates to vision is because as iron sharpens iron, and we want people around us who are going to challenge us and make us better. we need to make sure that they're holding us accountable to what we say we're going to do and what we want to do it. And then also come up with different ways of bouncing ideas of how to achieve the same goal, but maybe have a different perspective and outlook on something. So for example, I have a technical background. So if somebody tells me, hey, they have a goal, they want to achieve X, Y, and Z, then I'm going to look at it from a technical lens and go, well, the best way to do it would probably be these methods, because it's the most efficient, it's the most better, and you can automate it more, it's less involved, and here's all the great things that can help you level up. I'm not going to offer up anything that's not useful. Well, another person who is not technical minded, but like a people person and much more of an extroverted person than I am, are going to think about ways to connect to other people and how to connect to people's emotions, how to connect to people's feelings on that, and give that perspective. And another person's going to have maybe a more autocratic viewpoint on it. And we're all just going to have different points of view, but the whole point is not to tear down the vision or the goal. The whole point is to bring up ways to elevate and rise to the occasion at the next level, because that's why we're all there. That's why we're all together, mutually supporting each other. And so if you do it for one person, they should do it for you, not one-sided. And oftentimes people find themselves in these one-sided relationships, and that's okay. They happen. But if you really look at like top tier successful people, their circles are small and they're mutually beneficial to each other 9 times out of 10. I haven't found one that has not been. So I'm leaving myself that little bit of grace that, maybe there are some out there that are not. And again, the goal is to surround yourself with people who are after the same thing, after the same objectives. So when you look at it from a personal standpoint, you need to treat your life like a business. And how am I going to get after these things? And how are we going to get after these things? And then from a professional standpoint, who I hire and bring onto my team is critically important, because they're going to either increase or level up the team or bring the team down. So we all need to have that same mastermind mentality, so that we have a coordinated effort of people working toward the definiteness of purpose of what we have. So your vision should fuel the group, and the group should fuel the vision, right? And some of the great benefits of this is accountability, like we already talked about. We already talked about new ideas, talked about networking. And when things aren't working out the way you think they should be working out, they're going to provide you some emotional support. You'll be like, hey, I know it's not working out right now. I know things aren't working out right, but guess what? Just give it a couple more months. It's going to turn around. It's going to happen. And everyone's talking life into the vision, into your vision, instead of going, hey man, you should probably give this up. You've invested way too much money. You've invested too much time, too much effort. You should probably give up on this, right? And so, because one thing that people with this mastermind mentality do, they don't quit. They're going to do what they say they're going to do. After you've achieved it, they may drop it and say it's not for them, but they're going to at least achieve their vision of what they said they were going to do. And having that emotional support from people who have been there and who have known, because for anyone that has been an entrepreneur or a business person knows, initially, the first thing that rolls out will make you no money whatsoever. They're going to put a lot of time and energy and effort into something that you get zero return from right away. It takes some time. So you're going to need that emotional support. And then also you become who you surround yourself with. If you could take a look at any group of people, and I can tell you, whoever you surround yourself with, that's who you're going to become. And I say that because if you're hanging out in a group of people that you're like, I don't want to be like any of these other people, change the group that you're hanging out with. Go find a better group of people. Go find a better leveled up group of people. Hang out with them. They will help bring you up. So that way you can be what you want to become. It happens. Just take a look. Take a look at your own life. Take a look at somebody else's life. It is inevitable for that to happen. So if you're like me, you might be wondering, I hear what you're saying. I got it. How do I start? Like, how do I start to create a mastermind group of people that support my goals and visions? Well, I'm going to offer up this really, really scary challenge. And that is, I want you to find 2 other people that are like-minded like you and ask them if they want to meet once a week for coffee or in a library and talk about all of your goals and your visions of where you want to go, for the sole purpose of providing input and benefit to each other. That's it. Don't talk about anything else. Just do that. And you're going to start to develop a group. Then, after you found 2 people who do this, I want them and you to go out and find 2 more people after like a month who have the same thing. Bring them into your group and say, hey, we come here and we do this. Let them watch you for about 2 to 3 weeks on how you interact and what you share and how you want to share. then ask them for input, because what you're doing is you're modeling how the behavior of the group works and for them to adopt that behavior. And they've seen it. So now they feel like, oh, well, I can contribute this way. Oh, I can do this. Yes, I can say this because all of you support each other. So if I say something that's kind of like, I don't know, maybe stupid or ignorant or maybe not well-intentioned, you're not going to judge me for it. You're going to help me get better. I like that. So that is what my challenge to you is for starting this mastermind mentality. Pick 2 people, meet regularly once a week, somewhere in person. I'm not going to say virtually, in person, because you get a lot more with person-to-person interaction than you do anything else. Get your goals, get feedback, share your progress, support each other, and just see how it goes. Because I want you to think about it from this perspective as well. As we talked about iron sharpening iron, imagine you're in a room with 4 to 6 people who want to challenge you every week. Where do you think you would be in 6 months from now? Think about that. So the other thing I want you to do is before you do this, I want you to write down your vision and then reach out today to find people who have that same vision or a similar vision and how you're going to do it. So one person today, and then next week another person, and then by the 3rd week, you're going to be meeting regularly once a week with 2 other people who have the same mastermind mentality as you do. And when you want to give up, think about this. They won't let you because they're going to have your back because now you're invested in each other. So some other questions you could write down to help yourself develop your vision is, where do you want to be professionally in 3 to 5 years? What kind of life do you want to live personally? And then who do you know that shares the same drive that you have? Those people might be the people that you want to talk to and reach out to. And I would also offer up, it's okay if it's a complete stranger. It's scary, but it's okay if it's a complete stranger as long as you trust them. You got to develop that trust though. So today we've talked about vision is your why, and the mastermind mentality is your how. Success never happens in isolation. It never happens alone. So another thing you can do to reach out is you can send them this episode and say, hey, I heard this episode. I was challenged by it. Would you like to meet with me and let's try this little challenge and see how we do? Would that be okay? That's another way that, you could reach out to somebody and talk about this and say, I think this is a great idea. Let's do it. Right? And maybe that might be the icebreaker if you're like, I don't really know where to start, because success never happens alone and it never happens in isolation. Success happens when like-minded people get together and they draw out and they bring out the best in each other. Your vision is powerful, but without people to fuel it, it fades away. Start building your circle and start sharing your vision with people and watch how quickly your progress will accelerate. So we're going to be talking about the next principle after we have some really good interviews coming up and some really good book reviews coming up. As always, thank you for stopping by and checking out this episode and listening to it. I really hope that you enjoyed it. Before we go, I'd like to ask a favor of you if I could. If you could please share this episode with 1 or 2 people who you think might like this topic. If you haven't followed or subscribed on the platform that you're listening to, and hit all the bells and icons and all the whistles so that you know that when we post another episode, you'll be alerted, please go ahead and do all that before you go. If you got some value out of this episode, please leave a review or a comment so we can help spread the show to other people who might be interested in the topics that we've talked about here today, but may not have found our show yet. Again, thanks for stopping by. I'm Tim Staten, State of the Obvious.